I watched some absolute fit specimens fold and cry and quit SFAS in the first week, dude.
Okay, there was a
Mhm.
couple times in high school where I had to sell my soul to get it done. All right, let's go to high school. So I changed my opinion in high school. In high school, you have to be good at a sport. And I want people to understand there's a difference between freshman, sophomore year and junior and senior year. I want you to be dominating a sport in high school. I don't care what sport, just, preferably not tennis or golf. Okay. Something physical. Guys know I don't like track. Okay. So I don't be a cross country runner. But baseball, wrestling, lacrosse, water polo, but be good at a sport. The other thing I'm gonna tell you, you better be good in school. All
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Like, I don't need you to have a 4.0, but you can't be down there in the 2.0 range because you got to do well on the ASVAB. That means you got to you got to do well in school.
Yep. Yeah, I think I like that you say that. I think the physicality of the sport, I think is important just because when you get into something like buds or something like SFAS, the first time you've been basically just like run down to the point of vomiting and throwing up from so much physical exertion is the time you're at buds, you're fucked. Like you're not going to make it. You need to have a wrestling background, a football background, even track. I'll give cross country is fine, man. Like these dudes are like pushing it to the limits of puking on themselves. You have your body and your real, not your body, your mind has to be used to taking that physical beating for you to have any chance. I watched some absolute fit specimens fold and cry and quit SFAS in the first week, dude.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
because it was the first time they'd actually ever been to the point where your body's breaking down. Like you don't think you physically, I mean, how many times I'm sure in training, Jake, for you guys that you thought like physically I can't go any further. And then you realize like 5 hours later, like you're still physically going and you're like, holy shit, my body can go 1,000 times further than my mind thought it could. If you haven't developed that like in high school, it's going to be very, very, very difficult for you to turn that on randomly once you hit selection.
So what's interesting that you say that, Nate? I got that in wrestling in high school. Okay, there was a couple times in high school where I had to sell my soul to get it done. Okay, but you hit the nail on the head because this is what I tell people: if you don't have that grit and mental toughness that comes from doing exactly what you're saying, being pushed to the edge, not quitting and continuing to fight, it's not the physical stuff that gets you. It's the psychological wear and tear that causes you to quit. And people ask me like, well, how can you say that? I'm like, I saw Olympic alternate quit in the swimming pool and he was a swimmer. Okay. I saw a Greek god, 6'7", soda pack abs, Alaskan Iditarod type of dude who looked like there's nothing in the world that could stop him, just break in Hell Week and walk away crying, saying, I want to be free like the Dolphins.
Jake,
So
we had a professional NFL well-known running back, VW, in the 18 Echo course. I mean, that's the most physical god you can get, bro. He was a fucking running back. I don't want to say the team because I don't want to give it up. People will figure that out. But I mean, talking about NFL athletes that throw in the towel. It's not physical.
It's grit thing that I want to put on junior high school. Like, so first, 9th and 10th grade, because I'm going to change it in the 10th and 11th, or 11th and 12th grade. You need to go to camps. So my sophomore year, summer, before I went to my junior year, I got to go to intensive training. It used to be J-Rob intensive training wrestling camp. You worked out 4 times a day. You ran twice a day and you wrestled twice a day, basically every other day. And the other days you did a run and 2 wrestling practices. And then you had technique practice at night. You had 4 practices a day every day, but they took the intensity off every other day.
Yeah.
I tell people that's senior year, go to a horseback riding camp, right? Like go to a dude ranch for 2 weeks. Go to something where you're going to work from 4 a.m.
all day. Yeah. That's a great point. I didn't even think about that. And I think what Jake's telling you here is it's so important because I just got done talking about do a sport where it's going to push you to the point of puking. Like you can do that in a 2-hour wrestling practice. But what we do in buds or in SFAS is like Jake said, you're going to do that from 4 a.m. to 12 at night. That not that 2 hours of it, but 12 to 14 hours of it. And if the first time you've done 14 hours of the worst physical activity of your life straight is at buds, you're done, homie. You're going to quit
And
first day.
and Nate, I will tell you this. My dad, and I now I know my dad made special operations do. Okay. My dad was big survivalist, right? He would farm me out on the weekends. I'm not gonna say like a slave. I got paid $5 an hour. But
Yeah.
it would be Friday. He get home from work. He'd be drunk. Hey, go down to the marina. Mike got some shit for you to do. You're gonna be down there for a couple weekends. I go down there. Mike tore out half the marina. It's in this big ass like pile. He's like, hey man, I need you to cut this up and put it in this dumpster. He's like, tell me how many hours you work. And so I, even at a young age, like with my dad, I show up at 7:30 and I would work to about 2:30, 3 o'clock. And then I would go home and I would call Mike, say, Mike, I did 7 hours. He'd be like, okay. And I show up the next day, he'd give me money. And then I'd be like, shit, I work another 7 hours, right? I worked down there for like almost a month straight until that whole pile was in the dumpster. We went, and you know, you're young. The dumpster would fill up and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm almost done. And then I'd show up the next weekend and the fucking dumpster be empty. I was like, God damn, man. Like, but that's the kind of things where, you know, like I'm fixing to cut down a bunch of trees in my yard. Like I'm going to get the chainsaw, I'm going to cut them up. I'm telling the kids, hey, go stack all that wood in them wood cribbages that we have, right? Like that's the kind of stuff you're going to do 2 hours in the morning, Saturday morning. Now, the thing that's funny about my kids, they can't have no electronics until chores are done. They'll be out there at 6 o'clock with the lights on. Like 6 a.m. when they wake up, they're going to be out there working. Like they're gonna
Getting it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
But that's not necessarily a bad thing, man. If you've got kids that are willing to wake up early to just knock out tasks so that they can get an enjoyment of something later, I'm all about that, man. I'm not telling you don't let your kids play video games, but if you can do it in a way that Jake's describing it, to where your kids are motivated to wake up early, get out there, knock out tasks for 2-3 hours, and the reward of that is I get something, I get enjoyment out of that. I mean, that's kind of like what we do, man. As soft dudes, you're going to put in a ton of work with bullshit stuff you don't want to do, so that you can do the fun, badass stuff on the back end of it, right? So that's not a bad way, I think, to actually incentivize your kids to do hard work. I don't care what the incentivization system is. If you can get them to where they are like, hell yeah, I want to get out there and bust my ass and get this done, so that XYZ, you're gonna raise a fucking killer, man. Like,
yeah,
later in life, they're gonna crush. And you know what's crazy is all these things, I think, that we're talking about, Jake. Let's say you've done all these things with your kid, and then they decide they want to go to college and be a doctor. Dude, they're still so set up for success based off of all this discipline, work ethic, all of these things. They're gonna get to college, and college is gonna be a joke. The amount of work they have to put in to do well in college will be nothing for these kids.
And I'm not raising special operations dudes. I'm raising successful champions for life, right? Like my goal is to have winners. And you can't have a winner unless you've lost a lot. You got to understand, like, man, not everything's going to be great. Like they're going to take setbacks. You're going to overcome. Like, I mean, I just found my box of tapes and I'm getting ready to roll out some of those gangster videos in the world. I've always talked about Jeff Amick beating me in a wrestling match. I got that match. I'm going to do voiceover. I'm going to do the whole match and explain why this 6-minute period of my life transformed the next 40 years of my life, right? I got my first parachute jump in the teams where I almost drowned. I'm going to put all of that in there so that we can have a little bit more understanding of the psyche. I don't know what event is going to be the triggering event for my son, right? Like I know for me, I got my dad pulled me out of basketball in the 7th grade because I didn't have a 3.0. I never didn't get a 3.0 again. You don't know, but you're going to, I set my kids up to fail all the time, man. Like
oh yeah, that's great. All of my sort of life defining moments, even in soft, and what built the trajectory to a ton more success on the back end was always huge failures or character flaws that I realized because I fucked something up so bad because I was being a shithead or whatever it may have been, failed a class, got hurt. All of those failures are really what leads you to those successes. But if you don't, it's kind of like you talked about letting your kid climb the tree. If you don't set your kids up to fail in a positive way, right? They're never going to build that sort of resiliency inside of them where they can fail and not shut down. Because what I see the difference, this is one of the biggest thing I saw from guys who ended up making it, and I'm sure you'll agree, Jake, and guys who ended up not making it, was the ability to fail, be resilient, and bounce back and do better afterwards. Other guys shut down. They would fail the first night of land navigation at SFAS. They still had the second night. They could get 4 points the second night, but they didn't. They shut down. They shut down mentally. They shut down emotionally. And then you had dudes that were like, fuck it, I got 0 out of 4 points first night. I gotta ace this next one, but I'm gonna do it. 100% motivation, 100% get after it. And they managed to do it, right? You see that all the time. And I would watch some guys I thought would be the dudes that would make it through super easy, and their first big failure like derailed their entire thing and they were gone or they quit.
So Nate,
like
I'm
one
gonna
big
take
failure.